I've heard the best way to spark the kind of culture change that can lead to a more open organization is to find allies in the organization and partner with them. What strategies do you recommend for doing this? How can I seek out others who want to drive change?
I think, when we talk to people about open organization, usually I like to go right back to open principles and looking at the fact that at the most basic level, we're looking at these as a set of values and behaviors that we all say. We may express them differently. We may use different practices and tools to get there, but it is very much about the fact that we're all on the general page, that this is where we want to go, and the whys behind it. And I think that when we're talking about even looking for others that want to drive change, you do need to understand a little bit about the why, but also have to start using your kind of your people spidey senses to figure out what would drive that person for change. So you're asking yourself, it's something that we've done, I've done in my own research around what I call the language of change. It's understanding that person's um, not just their reason, but like how they interact with the change itself. So even with something as small as I want to drive culture change within my team or my department versus thinking organization wide, you still need to understand how to interact with that person. Like what's driving them to change, and what would want them to align with the values that we're expressing coming from open. Um, it's more than a like what's in it for them kind of thought process. It's how are they going to receive this information? Some people need to feel as though that they're constantly in a state of being stable. And so if you're in a very innovative space, um, there are some of us that are big innovators and we just want to go, go, go. And we don't really want to ask all of those details to get there. So for those of us with that innovation language behind it, we're all about revolutionizing everything and making everything brand new. And if you have someone in your team or across the org that is needs to express that differently, they need to actually ask questions. They want to know where the risks are, or they are just like, wow, I like my routine, please do not rock my boat. If you know that, then you can start having those conversations about change in a very impactful and meaningful way. And I think not only does it move change along further, but you know how to bring everybody back again to those open principle values and say, okay, we're all working towards a common goal. We may all express it a little differently. We're all using different practices and frameworks to get there. But again, it's going back to that common ground. Seeking people out that want to be your allies in that is great, but also understanding kind of that why and how to express that and engage the people that you're talking to about it.
Well, that's a much better answer than I could give. So my suggestion would be just to stop the video now and go to the next one. But if you insist on sticking around, I'll just add that, uh, you know, unfortunately, people in organizations don't walk around with hanging placards over their shoulders, like the sandwich board, like on the street. Like I love open organizations. Like they don't people don't walk around like that. They don't broadcast their value systems, right? And what they do is they disclose their value systems through the artifacts that they produce, their behaviors, the way that they talk, the things that they keep around, the things that they produce, the things that the way they materialize the culture, right? Their value systems. And so you can only access them through those things, right? The way they talk, the way they make decisions, the emails they send, the questions they ask. And so you have to begin to look at and find the people who inspire you, right? The people in your organization who seem to be doing things the way you would want to do them, right? The people who default to transparency, default to a fail fast or fail quickly and learn attitude, right? Find people who are living and embodying those principles and seek them out. And first of all, commend them on those behaviors to reinforce them, tell them how you feel about them, and ask, what they're doing on their team and how those things affect them, and just kind of bring them to light, because they might not even know they're doing something inspiring or different. And so you can draw that out. And then once you've done that, it's much easier to have a conversation. Maybe sit down with that person and ask, what value do you see doing this on your team? How do you spark this kind of change? How does your team respond when you ask these questions or frame problems this way? And begin to transport that to your own team. But there are ways, some organizations have communities of practice systems. Some have like more informal groups, knowledge sharing groups, where folks with similar passions or similar approaches can get together to, even just have lunch or coffee together to talk about something as simple as, hey, is there a way that we can do our performance reviews a little bit differently, i.e. more openly, right? More transparently, or a little bit more inclusively. Like, how can we do that? And it starts there with those conversations is all I would say.